Guys, it's a Chook Man here once again. I look a bit funny today because I'm wearing. I'll try that again. Sorry, guys, you have to bear with me because I've got acquired brain injury. Sometimes my brain races that fast and I talk fast, and I'm trying to talk as calmly and as clearly as I possibly can so I can help other people out in suburbia on never giving up. And we all, there's things that we say, hard times never last. How true is that? That's so true, that saying. And getting back to wearing these glasses, it helps me read. I've had dyslexic most of my life, and and I say this respectively, I've kicked heaps of goals. I've got a loving partner that supports me all the way. She said to me one day as we first met, she said to me, "You know what, Ray? You can stay angry for the rest of your life and never achieve anything, or you can just do two things. One is forget about your story, or the other one is to go and get help." And that's what I decided. I sucked it up and I went and got professional help with my story of being a ward of the state. Now, guys, I just want to read you a story. I wrote this story when I was 16 years old. It's about living on the streets and surviving difficult times. I got this story, I dictated to someone and they wrote it down. I don't know if that's the correct words or not, but I like to say things in my own word. And also there's an old saying, show me the boy at 7 and I'll show you the man at 21. All you old school people out there would understand what I'm trying to say. My life hasn't been, as I say, a bunch of roses. It's been some hard roads I've had to travel. One is I'm an ex-alcoholic. I've been clean off the alcohol for now. My partner always says to me, 11 years. So I can hold I'm wrapped. I never ever, from where I've come from, guys, I never ever thought I'd be smart enough to give up the alcohol. And I say that respectably because there was many times I never thought I would be where I am today. I've got a beautiful partner. She's got a beautiful heart. She understands me. She understands everything I've been through. She understands my PTSD, critical PTSD, which is not easy for anyone to be a partner with. And I say that respectably. I'm not the easiest bloke to get along with on the best of days. I've got a carer. I've got a beautiful case manager from Urella. I take my hat off to her. She's been working with me for the last 12 years. She's seen me up and down. She's seen me when I've had bad days, really, really bad days. And she's seen me have really good days too. Without these people in place, I wouldn't be here today. I'm wearing these glasses because I can't read without them. I'm like a reindeer with no glasses. If I don't put them on, I can't see. I'm like a reindeer with no eyes. It's got no idea. It's a bit of a joke anyway. The joke is, what do you call a reindeer with no eyes? No idea. Alright guys, that's enough of the Chook Man babbling on about funny jokes. Getting back to the serious stuff. I've come miles on my story. It's like I've walked from Sydney to Melbourne 600 times through what I've had to go through. Now, I wrote this story when I was 16. I'm going to quickly read it to you, and hopefully it spurs someone else in life that's going through hard times to never ever give up. And guys, if you're hit a dark spot in life, always pick up the phone, ring a friend, go and see a friend, go and talk to someone about your dark times, and fight it all the way because you're worth fighting for. I spent many years with my head in the sand, criticising myself, so I fully understand we get into some hard times. It's better to come out of my mouth that's experienced sad times and hard times. So, yeah, I think you get the big picture. Alright, so I'm going to get stuck into this story, guys, and hopefully I don't talk so quickly and clearly so you fully understand it. I wish I was a better person within myself, but there is an angry person inside of my body. I try very hard to get it out of my body, but it stays. Body. I try to understand what makes me mad. When I was young, my foster dad said to me, "You are no good, and you will always be no good." After he got pissed, what other comment will come out of your mouth? You know, you got nothing nice to say to a young boy that's trying to grow up. Of course, you're going to say shit like that. You are no good, and you will always be no good. Well, that foster old man, he's passed away, and it's a pity he's not alive today to see what sort of man that I grew into. I grew up to be a proud, honest, fair man. It's a pity he's not here because I'd rub it into his nose now and say, "Remember what you said to me?" Anyway, getting back to the story. When I lived on the streets, it was cold and wet. It was not easy. I had to do the best I could. I was sick all the time and had to look for food. I went through rubbish bins and ate food that someone had chucked out. Now, guys, when I was living on the streets of St Kilda, I was quite street smart, and I say that respectably. Back in the 70s, early 80s, what would happen is the shops down there at a certain time would shut, and you got to know them, and the food that they didn't sell, if you weren't rude to them, they would give you pizzas or chips or pies. And you had to be there at a certain time, and I got with some of the shop owners down there, and they always looked for me, and I always turned up. I always had a smile on the dial and said thank you very much for this food that you chucked out, and why they'd rather give it to us street kids than just chuck it in the bin, because it was just a waste of food, if you get my drift. And I was the only one that sort of used my manners, and I was just so happy, you know, I'd get to 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes down there, and this is when St Kilda was St Kilda, by the way, and it just made me feel so good. You know, they'd give me hot chips and pies, and, you know, I didn't go into the bin, it went into my guts, and then I could feel good and then go look for somewhere to sleep. So, yeah, that's that story about eating food that someone else had chucked out. Now, getting back to the story. Every day was like a bad dream. I hoped that dream would go away. You had to live this life to sort of understand what I'm saying, guys. I saw lots of kids in front of my eyes, and some of them had sad stories. I have to get out of here. They weren't very old. They were about, 15 backwards, right up to 18. Then we stayed in an old house telling about the lives, and there was some bad stories about what had happened in our life. There was some sad stories that kids told kids. We're only kids living in squats, guys. Someone said to me, one of those kids died in front of my eyes. Someone said to me, get help, so I called an ambulance. When I called the ambulance, it was too late. He died in front of me. Unfortunately, back then, guys, when you lived it rough, hard on the streets, some of the kids, and I'll say this respectably, they come from sad stories. Alcohol and drugs were just the band-aid they needed. They would rather take alcohol and drugs to block out up here what was going on. And I was smart enough, and I say this respectably enough, to stay away from the needle. Live by the gun, die by the gun. That's how I seen it. But unfortunately, I turned into an alcoholic, so I was just as bad as these other kids that were taking drugs. Anyway, getting back to the story. They came and took him away, and I said to myself, I have to go and do something with my life. So I went to look for a job, but when they said to me, you have to get somewhere to live, I knew it was not going to be easy. So I got some place to live. I got a dog at the time. It was an old place. I had to make do with what I had. I was living in Fitzroy at the time when I got a job. I started the job, but it was not much of a job. I went to work and the boss said to me, "Where do you live?" I said, "In my mate's home." He said to me, "It looks like you do not keep yourself clean." I couldn't tell him the truth about my lifestyle. So at the end of the day, I had nowhere to go and have a shower. I was getting about $70 a week and had said to me, "You come late any more, you will have no job." I got the sack. I was back to nothing, no job, no money, no food. So I had to go back to the food van 3 times a week. I was so cold and lonely. I got help with somewhere to live. It was called Doodar's. It was an old boarding house. It was a very old place and had to pay $50 a week. I did not like all the drunks in the place, so I went to another place to live. Alright guys, so that's just to wrap it all up, that's just some of my story there about hard times, living on the streets, getting pushed from pillar to post. And my message is, don't ever give up. I never ever thought I'd amount to anything. And then I had some beautiful people come my way and help me on my journey. And I'm a strong believer, if you put 50% in of life out of 100, you're bound to strike gold, as they say. I was a big believer. I come from a nobody. I come from a sad story. I come from a mother that gave birth to me that didn't love me from abuse. And then I come from that to a foster family that didn't understand me or want to understand me, abused me. Then I ended up on the streets, drunk all the time. I chose to be an alcoholic. No one rammed it down my throat. I chose to be an alcoholic. I chose that road. Now I've got pancreatitis and I've got a bowel disease that's really bad. I'm not feeling sorry for myself in any shape, form or matter. I done the damage myself, but I'm spewing now in a way because I'm loving life at the moment. And I wish I hadn't have been an alcoholic or had pancreatitis or the bowel disease, because I'm shining myself. I'm doing good now, and now I've got my health that's holding me back. But unfortunately, life chucks us curveballs all the time. It's a way we handle it. It's a way we go about life. It's easy to give up, but it's even harder to soldier on. Alright guys, so that's just a quick bit about my story, and I hope someone recognises me and interviews me and gets me on national TV so I can speak about my story and help other people that are survivors and show them there's light beyond the end of the tunnel, because my road hasn't been an easy one. I've had a lot of good people come my way and help me, and you just have to recognise that you're a good person at the end of the day. Don't listen to too many people that don't know you. You know who you are at the end of the day. That's all that counts. Alright guys, I hope you get something out of my story. Hard times never last, and keep your chin up. And as I said before, if you're not in a good spot, ring someone, pick up the phone, talk to someone, go and see a doctor, tell them that you're not in a good space, and go from there. Alright guys, from the Chook Man, and his new fur baby and his partner. All the best, and talk to you soon.